You've seen barbed wire on ships, maybe even heard about water cannons. This is what a cargo ship does to protect itself from armed pirates trying to get on board. I know what you're thinking. What can barbed wire do against an AK-47? Barbed wire isn't the only thing keeping pirates away. There are other powerful tactics as well, which we will discuss. But why are these defenses even necessary? And why are cargo ships still being hunted in one of the world's busiest trade routes? Like in early 2023, pirates hijacked the commercial tanker MV Central Park. 5 armed attackers had boarded the ship and opened fire, forcing the crew into lockdown. It's not an isolated case. Cargo ships still face real threats in high-risk waters. A single hijacking can cost millions, sometimes in ransom, sometimes in reputation. But why don't they just carry guards or weapons? And more importantly, how did we even get to this point? To understand that, we have to go back to 1991, to the collapse of a government, and to a new kind of piracy that changed global shipping forever. In 1991, the Somali government collapsed, and the country was left without a strong security forces. That meant there was no one to protect Somalia's waters. Taking advantage of this, many foreign fishing boats started fishing illegally in Somali waters. These foreign ships used huge nets and advanced machines, catching large amounts of fish and leaving very little behind. For Somali people living along the coast, fishing was their main way of making money and feeding their families. But now the sea that sustained them for a long period of time was rapidly emptying. Their job was gone. Their children went hungry. Out of anger and desperation, some of these local fishermen decided to fight back. They picked up weapons and started to stop foreign boats. At first, they called themselves Coast Guards and asked for small payments or fines.
They initially called themselves the People's Coast Guard of Somalia, or the Voluntary Coast Guard.
Yeah, 1 or 2 pirate gangs tried to call themselves that. And, they had a point. There was no one else patrolling the coast.
But that wasn't really what was going on.
No. I was captured on land, first of all. Every other hostage I met was a fisherman, a poor fisherman, captured hundreds of miles from the Somali coast. So that's not protecting the coast.
But soon they discovered something more profitable. They could hold ships and their crew hostage and demand millions in ransom. By the early 2000s, piracy became more organized and violent. Groups of armed men, often funded by criminal networks, began launching missions hundreds of miles from the shore. Major hijacking started in 2008. The Sirius Star, a massive Saudi supertanker, was hijacked 450 miles off the Kenyan coast, the farthest offshore hijacking at that time. Pirates demanded a $25 million ransom, and in the end, they got it. The second major global wake-up call came in September 2008 when pirates hijacked the MV Fena, a Ukrainian ship. The hijacking raised international alarm. The pirates kept the ship and its crew for about 5 months. The world saw how easily pirates could capture even ships carrying military equipment. Then came April 2009, the attack that truly captured global attention. The Maersk Alabama, a US-flagged cargo ship, was attacked by 4 Somali pirates about 240 miles off the Somali coast. The crew quickly captured 1 pirate, even as the remaining attackers seized Captain Richard Phillips and fled with him in a lifeboat. The US Navy responded swiftly, sending the USS Bainbridge, and later, SEAL Team 6 arrived. After a tense standoff that lasted several days, 3 Navy SEAL snipers fired simultaneous shots, killing the pirates and rescuing the captain. There were no American casualties. It was a powerful message to the world the US would fight back against piracy. The US demonstrated a willingness to fight back. However, the human cost of piracy remained stark. American journalist Michael Scott Moore faced this reality directly. Held by Somali pirates for nearly 3 years, his ordeal underscored the persistent, brutal threat.
The people say, oh, but they're just frustrated fishermen. They're not. They were in the 90s, but it was a much bigger deal than just fishermen turning to piracy.
By 2011, Somali pirates had reached their peak. Over 230 pirate attacks were reported that year. They hijacked ships from dozens of countries, held hundreds of crew members hostage, and collected millions of dollars in ransom. They had become well-armed, highly organized, and strategically aggressive, capable of hijacking massive ships far from shore. As piracy incidents continued to rise and global trade came under threat, the international community realized it had to act. The seas were no longer safe, and ignoring the problem was no longer an option. This was the turning point. Shipping companies, governments, and naval forces began implementing new safety rules and defensive strategies. To counter rising piracy threats, the shipping industry introduced BMP-5, Best Management Practices version, a guide that helps cargo ships protect themselves using non-lethal, practical methods. This framework establishes a sophisticated, multi-layered defense, integrating diverse tools and tactics. This layered approach works at two critical stages: remote detection and boarding prevention. This initial stage, remote detection, focuses on spotting and engaging threats at long distances, aiming to neutralize danger far from the vessel. A primary tool here is the Long-Range Acoustic Device, LRAD. Among other safety measures, LRAD is the most effective non-lethal tools. It emits focused, high-frequency sound waves designed to cause discomfort and disorientation. Its purpose is to deter attackers, buying the crew critical time for action. You might be thinking, what if pirates simply wear earplugs? According to one manufacturer, LRAD's intense sound can still disorient attackers by vibrating through the skull, a principle similar to bone conduction headphones. This often provides enough discouragement for criminals to turn away. Beyond sound, visual deterrence can offer another layer of defense. Ships can utilize a clever form of deception, which is fake crew displays. To create this effect, ships may place mannequins or dummies around the deck to simulate a larger, more vigilant crew. This makes pirates perceive the ship as well-guarded, often discouraging their approach. But what if simple deception isn't enough? How do ships handle a direct threat? The answer comes in blinding lasers. These visual disruption tools are aimed at approaching pirates to impair their line of sight, making it difficult to navigate. By disrupting their vision and navigation, it can halt their advance, buying crucial time without lethal force. However, visual deterrence can slow an advance. They do not guarantee safety. And when other measures fail, direct evasion becomes crucial. Ships initially rely on speed. However, speed alone isn't enough. How a ship moves plays a critical role in evading pirates. A tactic known as high-speed evasion combines rapid acceleration with unpredictable course changes, such as sailing in zigzag patterns. These sudden maneuvers make it much harder for pirates to approach or align their boats for boarding, significantly reducing their chances of a successful attack. Since the primary objective is to spot danger early and deter it from afar, not every threat is stopped in time. What happens when pirates slip through the net and reach the ship's immediate perimeter? This is where the second critical stage, boarding prevention, becomes crucial. Among these vital boarding prevention measures, anti-boarding wires are a critical first line. These are long wires deployed in the water along the ship's sides and stern. If a pirate boat approaches too closely, these wires can entangle its propeller or slow it down, making it difficult and risky for pirates to reach the ship. While wires target the boat itself, safety barriers focus on stopping climbers. These specially designed panels or structures are attached to the ship's sides to prevent pirates from hooking their ladders onto the ship. Their shape and gap make it very hard to climb over, adding extra protection against boarding attempts. Beyond specialized panels, physical obstacles provide a direct line of defense. Around the deck's perimeter, ships deploy barbed wire fencing to prevent boarding attempts. This visible physical barrier adds a significant challenge for attackers trying to scale the sides of the ship. And when physical barriers are bypassed, water cannons become the next line of defense. You might be thinking, what can seemingly harmless water do against armed pirates? These powerful, non-lethal tools release high-pressure streams to stop climbing, reduce visibility, and make boarding difficult. Some ships also deploy specialized lashing hoses that further hinder attempts. Should pirates overcome every barrier and board the vessel, the crew has one ultimate refuge: the citadel. The citadel is a hidden, highly secure room built deep within the ship. Equipped with essential supplies, communication systems, and surveillance, it's designed as an impenetrable safe haven. If pirates board, the crew retreats inside, locks the doors, and awaits rescue by security forces. A powerful example of this method's success occurred in November 2023, during the hijacking of the MV Central Park. When armed attackers boarded the ship, the crew immediately activated their training, retreating to the citadel. With no access to the crew, the pirates were left stranded. Security forces were able to respond and rescue everyone unharmed. All of these strategies have proven effective in protecting ships. Yet even the most advanced defenses cannot solve the fundamental issue. Piracy's true origin lies not at sea, but on land. Somalia is one of the poorest and most unstable countries in the world. With a weak central government and many areas controlled by warlords or gangs, opportunities are scarce and life is full of hardship. Pirate leader Aku Omega 5, alias Black Devil, presents his justification directly.
The money I used to buy ammunition on speedboats and the rest to take care of our families. Because we don't have job, that is why we are doing this dirty job. You come to exploit here and you don't want to employ we. That is why, that is the major reason why we are doing this. You don't want to employ us and you are exploiting from us.
Still now in many parts of the world, piracy is not merely a crime, it is survival. In places with weak governments, economic collapse, or coastal conflicts, piracy becomes a last resort, and that's why it continues. While this story explores the complex realities of human survival. But what if the darkness is not born of survival, but of something truly inhuman? What if I told you there was someone who didn't just kill, but ate his victim's genitals? Click the video on screen to step inside the mind of the Milwaukee cannibal, if you think you're ready.